Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets.
Oh, wow. Nice new vibe today.
Thank you. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz. This is afternoon, Matt and Sam.
Yeah, we had to record an extra episode after work, so this is Commitment.
Because you're in Italy right now.
I am, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't remember what day this comes out, but...
I won't bother to look up if you're in Italy right now or not, but you're probably in Italy right now.
Yeah, let's just say I'm in Italy right now, so
You're
even if I'm
drinking
not...
vino, you're eating lasagna, you're looking at the countryside, and probably an old statue. So how was it? Was it fun?
I'm still there.
Oh.
Ask me when I'm back.
With your Italian accent.
I mean,
what
dear
if you
God,
came
I
back
hope
with
not.
a put-on Italian accent? You're like, how you say Kermit the Frog?
I forget how to say Kermit the Frog as well. Not only adding an accent to his name.
Seems to be what happens. That seems to be what happens.
Well, let's hope that doesn't occur while I'm over there. But that does mean, I mentioned it right here at the top of the show, because Sam and I are both doing some traveling this summer, next week there will be no episode.
Oh, what?
Sorry to report that here. Sorry to disappoint all of our loyal...
Make me puke.
Why are you vomiting?
Because I'm so sad about the episode.
That means you don't have to record and edit one next week, Sam.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
But you know what? We are here this week, Sam, and we are here to go back to visit our old friends down in Fraggle Rock. Last week we were like, hey, let's check in with Alf and some Blues Brothers. And, you know, they were fine. They're good guys. But It's time to go back down to Fraggle Rock as we watch and discuss 3 more episodes of Season 3 titled Home is Where the Trash Is, Believe It or Not, and Wembley and the Mean Genie.
If we had done an Alf or Blues Brothers podcast, we'd be done by now.
Well, there's a lot of episodes of Alf, and we probably would have done them one by one.
That's true. We'd have to really stretch it out. We'd be getting close to... I don't think there were 2... How many episodes? Yeah, maybe we'd be getting close. We'd be watching... Like, we would have been watching the Alf movie at exactly the same time we watched the Alf movie. Wouldn't that be crazy if that was the case?
You might not be wrong, because it looks like there's 102 episodes of Alf.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we would be done with Alf by now.
Yeah, accounting for, like, days off and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In an alternate dimension... We watched the Alf movie at probably like the same time. That's where the 2 bubbles of our dimensions.
And we would have watched
close.
The Muppet Show for our birthday episode because it was tangentially related to Alf.
Yes, because Bernie Brillstein did both of them. Yeah, and not to mention, your name is Sam and my name is Matt.
Whoa! I don't like it.
I don't think that would work for us.
Yeah, I don't think you're a Matt.
I don't think you're a Sam. Yeah,
Wow.
maybe you're a Sam. You're more of a Sam than I am a Matt.
I'll take that.
Matt's too assertive.
I was almost an Andrew.
Interesting.
That was the first draft name for me.
Andrew. I could see that. And if you were named Andrew, you'd be in kind of like a Blink-182 type of band.
I mean, that was my life in high school, Sam, so check.
Yeah, it would have continued on.
Yeah.
You'd be more successful if you were an Andrew. I hate to break it to you.
Oh, damn.
Did I mention that I could see other dimensions? Have I not
that
mentioned that
seems to be the trend
now?
of the day is Sam peering into alternate futures.
I can pierce the veil, basically, but it's not a big deal.
Also a band.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, before we get into talking about Fraggle Rock today, Sam, I wanted to, check in with you once again. I feel like this is something that I used to do more regularly, but haven't done in quite a while.
You never ask me how I am anymore.
Well, I'm sorry, Sam. I'll ask you right now. Sam, how the hell are you?
Wait, in relation to what?
I was going to ask about commitment specifically, your relationship with this podcast, how you're feeling about the fact that we could have done an ALF podcast and we'd be done by now. But really, we've only watched about 30 years of content.
Only 30 years. I'm having a whale of a time. The worst thing in my life right now is that I do have to edit a 2-hour, 40-minute long podcast about ALF and the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So that part, the fact that we're subtly getting longer and longer as we go, is turning me into a skeleton. Not necessarily in a bad way. I've always kind of wanted to be a skeleton.
Skeletons are great. It's
skeletons
Halloween
are
time.
cool.
We love
Exactly.
skeletons.
I was thinking today, I was like, gosh, we've been doing this for a long time and then we still have stuff to say. Probably it's just the same stuff over and over again and we don't even realize it, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. I just keep going forever. I haven't got anything else going on. How about you?
I mean, same. Yeah, I think my planning brain and my completionist brain loves the idea of doing a podcast
yeah.
forever.
You're in hog heaven over there. You can get to make as many spreadsheets as you want.
Or just one really long one.
Yeah.
I have a tentative schedule listed out. Basically, which is just like release dates and episode numbers. Going all the way to episode 400, which would come out in March of 2029.
And at the very bottom of it, you've predicted the dates of both of our deaths.
It does say, this is the first episode after Sam's death. So get new co-host.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got our, we just celebrated our 36th birthday episode, but in our schedule, I've got our 41st birthday episode in there.
Oh my God, I hate you so much. Okay, I don't like this podcast anymore. That was the thing that pushed me over the edge. Don't ever talk about that ever again.
The idea of doing it in our 40s?
Just the fact that I will be 40 someday. I don't like that.
I mean, 36 is not that far from 40, Sam.
No.
We're going to be 40-year-olds talking about Muppets tonight.
Well, you know what? The people who were performing the Muppets were 40-year-olds talking about Muppets tonight also. So in that respect, I don't feel that bad about it.
Should I remind you that they got paid?
You didn't have to, but you already did.
Well, that's not going to be a worry for multiple years from now, because for now, we're going to enjoy 1985.
But it's all going to be worth it when we work for Disney and sell out completely, basically.
Yes. Disney, if you're out there, you want to buy this podcast, there is a number. I'm not sure what that number is. It's big enough.
Not too big, not too small.
How many digits?
We're going to let you answer that question first.
Yeah. If we say it, then we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Then we can be the ones at D23 or whatever that was with the freaking Muppets all over the damn place, making announcements about Disney World.
But not about Muppets.
But notably not about any Muppets at all. Just ruining Country Bear Jamboree. That was most of it.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
And destroying my beloved Dino Land USA. So actually pretty bad for me.
Yeah, and not at all touching Tomorrowland, which you famously would like to completely redo.
I have redesigned Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Dino Land USA is one of the perfect places on the planet Earth and should never be touched. But whatever.
So they just listened to your ideas about Disney World and said, let's do the opposite, though.
Because to be fair to them, I've never known what anybody's ever wanted. So that could be the right choice.
I think the one good thing about having all the Muppets there, even though we didn't get any specific Muppet announcements, is that it makes it less likely that Muppet Vision 3D is closing down anytime soon.
I think you're right. I think they are interested in. I would be interested in keeping around that just as like a piece of historical whatever. Like it's almost like a small world or something. Like you keep it around because Walt and Jim both were like so involved in it.
I think they keep it around as long as they don't have anything to replace it.
I
think if they decide to do Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster or whatever, I think then Muppet Vision 3's days become a little bit more
see.
numbered.
They're not ever not going to have a Muppet thing at the park.
Right. And
Gotcha.
I think anytime they do things like this where they just have Muppets at an event, one, it's an easy thing to like throw out there and people are stoked that they're like, freaking Kermit's here? Dope.
That's an easy way to get people on Twitter to be like, oh, wow, look, Kermit showed up.
Yeah.
And also they talked about Disney, and then you end up watching that.
Right. And I think it's a little bit of a test balloon as well to see, gauge the interest of people in the Muppets in general.
Yeah.
Which, once strikes are over, maybe there'll be some new projects that are being pitched or approved after seeing, hey, you know what? People on Twitter really do like these Muppets.
They need to get like a 12-year-old, and they need to put Aerosmith over here and the Muppets over here, and they need to see which one the child will walk to.
Like set it up in like a VR situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you need to just have a kid who walks into Disney World for the first time, and even if they don't know who Aerosmith or the Muppets are,
yeah.
which one are they more likely to walk towards?
Feel like there's a pretty clear answer.
The cartoonish characters brought to life, or the 40-year-old men?
The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. It's going to be a weird period of this podcast when most of what we're covering is the Muppets appearing in press conferences for various Disney things.
Yeah, I think we'll reach periods of time post Jim Henson dying where we'll go back almost to the roots of this podcast in the early days where we talk about like everything they did in 1963 in one podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that'll happen with some, like 1994. It'll be like, well, what did the Muppets do in 1994? I guess a few things here and there. Let's talk about those. So yeah, I assume more years like that are in the future for us. But they are quite a ways off, Sam, because we have a Muppet boon happening at the moment.
We really do. We're in a boom time for the dang Muppets.
Speaking of, diving right in, let's keep exploring 1985 and keep exploring season 3 of Fraggle Rock. Sam, what do we watch this week?
First, we watched Home is Where the Trash Is. Original air date February 11th, 1985. Philo and Gunge have decided that today is the big day, the day that they finally pull up stakes, leave Marjorie behind, and go where they were headed before they ran into her in the first place and got all mixed up with helping her do stuff all the time. Now, if only they could remember exactly where that is. They wander through the rock, running into various Fraggles and trying to live with them and set up a new lives for themselves away from Marjorie. But they aren't very good roommates. They're real messy and they cry all the time, basically. Meanwhile, Marjorie is falling apart both psychologically and literally because it turns out Philo and Gunge were the ones who brought Marjorie to life in the first place. Though kind of seemingly accidentally, I guess. They just made a big pile of trash and she came to life and they said, hey, you're our best friend. Eventually, the pair end up lost in the middle of nowhere where they run into none other than Wander McMooch, the nastiest villain in all of the world of Fraggle Rock. McMooch ties the pair up and makes them pull him like sled dogs back home where he plans to make them his slaves. Unfortunately for him, the Fraggles are alerted to this plot via Marjorie's newly discovered psychic link with the pair. So the Fraggles go to, it seems like, just kick Wander McMooch's ass, but he threatens Philo and Gunge's lives. But in doing so, unwittingly reveals that love is basically his kryptonite. So Philo and Gunge start giving him little smooches and telling him that they love him until he lets them go in disgust, and the pair run off back to the bosom of Marjorie. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is preparing for the first vacation season for the Captain's Inn, but wouldn't you know it, there's also a trash strike happening that day. So for some reason, he has to put all the inn's trash bags in his house, and it's just full of trash. The moral, don't go chasing waterfalls, and like the grass isn't always greener. That kind of general vibe, I would say. Home is where the heart is. Next, we watched a couple of clips from The Night of 100 Stars 2, airing February 17th, 1985. The first clip is the show's opening musical medley of New York songs, during which Carol Channing and Big Bird sing I Like New York. Then a big bus full of Muppets drives in and sings New York, New York, featuring some uncharacteristically hammy behavior from Kermit. But here's my question. Where the hell is Miss Piggy? Was she one of the other 100 stars?
I don't believe so. She had the feature the year before, but she does not seem to be present this year.
She's not even on the bus anywhere.
No.
Later, at the close of the show, we see Jim come out and take a bow while the chorus line sings that song that they sang on The Simpsons when the fog turned them inside out. Remember that?
What a weirdly specific way to refer to that song.
Anyway, I think it's called, is it From Chorus Line? Is that what that song is? Do you know?
I don't. That's
There's
a Muppet
another
question.
Yeah, we'll ask them up at Turgy. They'll know. They're probably screaming right now. Next up, we watched the episode of Fraggle Rock called Believe It or Not, which aired the day after The Night of 100 Stars 2, February 18th, 1985. Just a great couple of days. In this one, Red and Wembley are out looking for adventure when they run across a very strange, shape-shifting creature that becomes whatever you believe it is. So, for example, Red and Wembley tell him that he has pigtails, and he suddenly sprouts pigtails. Red names him Skinfrith, just because. Meanwhile, the Gorgs are doing some spring cleaning, which is something it seems like they do a hell of a lot, and Ma wants to clean the basement, which has been nailed shut because it flooded at some point, and nailing the door shut was just the easiest solution to that problem. So Ma makes Pa pry the door open, then starts speculating that it's so gross down there that there might even be a monster hiding in the muck. Unknown to everyone, Skinfrith snuck down into the basement in all this hubbub, and all of Ma's monster talk has a profound influence on the creature, turning him into said horrible monster. Wembley and Red go down to the basement to try to convince Skinfrith that he's not a monster, but Ma, who ends up locked in the basement by her cowardly family, keeps speculating about how horrible the monster is and making him worse and worse. Eventually they get through to Ma and explain that she's not actually seeing a monster, and Skinfrith turns back to his neutral form, at which point Ma realizes that she's scared of Fraggles even more than monsters and knocks the door down. She spots Skinfrith leaving the basement and scoops him up, declaring him her new cute little pet. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc tries to convince Sprocket that he's not afraid of spiders via immersion therapy. The moral: the power of positive thinking plus your prejudices influence the way you interact with the world, and vice versa. Finally, we watched Wembley and the Mean Genie, airing February 25th, 1985. Wembley finds an old bottle, rubs it, and wouldn't you know it, a genie pops out. However, this is a mean genie. He tells Wembley that he is out of the wish-granting game, but decides to stick around Fraggle Rock anyway to pick on and terrorize everyone, with Wembley in tow, convinced that by being the genie's friend, he's finally sticking up for himself and being assertive. Gobo and Moki are worried about the situation, so they convince Wembley that they have to put the genie back in the bottle, which they do successfully, but Wembley feels bad for locking up his friend, so he lets him out. But now the genie's really pissed, so he brainwashes all the Fraggles, he puts them in neat little outfits, and he starts putting on a very nasty, rude rock concert until Wembley declares that he wishes the genie would stop, at which point the genie stops, because the genie had just kind of decided for himself that he didn't want to grant wishes anymore, but he's still a genie, so if somebody makes a wish, he has to grant it. So Wembley wishes that everything would go back to normal, and he wishes that the genie would turn nice, and then he wishes for the genie to be free, and all of those things happen, and Wembley saves the day. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is making Sprocket practice for a vaudeville routine that he's put together, in which all of the jokes are digs at how stupid dogs are. Sprocket puts his foot down eventually, and Doc says that they can flip the script, and they can make fun of Doc a little bit instead. The moral: you can stand up for yourself without being a bully, and it's not inherently rude to stand up for yourself either, which are two subtly different but very important lessons. And just for fun, I looked up if you flipped off of ABC during the Night of 100 Stars 2 back in February 1985, you might see Silver Spoons, Punky Brewster, or Murder, She Wrote.
I mean, Night of 100 Stars is some stiff competition. They
I don't think you're turning the channel.
Literally every famous person who was alive at the time.
Yeah. Why don't they do this anymore? It was so stupid.
Money, probably.
I guess so. But at the end, when everybody's walking out and they all look so uncomfortable, I was like, yeah, make them suffer. I love this.
The opening where they show the list of people, it was already blowing my mind who was on that list. and then they were only in the C's alphabetically. And I was like, oh, okay, they do have everybody.
Yeah. It was genuine. Like now, if they did that, it would be like
Bob Newhart, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Taylor Swift.
not even that. I'm thinking
They would
like,
all be there. They'd have to be to match the wonder of this event.
to match the old one. But realistically speaking,
Oh, it'd be
I
bad.
feel like now they would get like Sean Spicer. I feel like he would be there.
Oh,
you know?
so it's like Dancing with the Stars now.
Exactly. It would be that.
It's Dancing with
level
the Stars,
of
but they're just like, we're tired. It's just
Yeah,
the
we're not-
stars.
Yeah. Here we are. We're walking around. Yeah. But this thing, there were some stars. They don't even have a line. They're just up on stage for a second. Like whoever that person is that Placido Domingo, she
Yeah.
like offers him a hot dog and he's like, no, thank you. Who is she?
I don't know, but it feels like you're right. Like I think they couldn't do this now because it would never match the
Yes.
levels of what it used to be. It feels like Battle of the Network Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they used to do that in the 70s, it would be, LeVar Burton, Linda Carter, like Suzanne Summers, Penny Marshall, like people who were really
Yeah.
famous at the time. And then in 2017, they tried to bring back Battle of the Network Stars. And I'll remind you, this is 2017 with people like Tom Arnold, Dave Coulier, Bronson
no.
Pinchot, Joey
What?
Lawrence,
What?
Jack
27
Osborne.
2017.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, they would get like the person who got
Anson
second
Williams.
place. Who's that?
He's the other person from Happy Days. He played Potsy.
Oh, they got Potsy in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
That rules. Yeah, they get the person who got like second place in Survivor or something, and that would count as a star to them.
Yes. So all that
But-
being said, Night of 100 Stars is a great time capsule that will never exist again.
Yeah, but can you imagine if Taylor Swift came out and like Jack Black came out and they were like doing a skit? Everybody would go nuts.
How many of the 100 would have to be TikTok stars that we don't know?
I don't know. I think people who are watching TV would expect a different set of stars, you know? You could reach back a little bit and get some older people, and the TV watching crowd would be okay with that.
Mm.
But obviously Flula would be there.
Obviously. Yeah. Well, maybe that's our ticket to fame and glory there,
Yes,
Sam.
we put this together. We're putting together a big show. We have to go to 100 people's houses and say,
No, Sam. We're going to have to go to like 500 people's houses.
oh, because we're going to get some no's.
We're gonna get a lot of
gonna get
no's.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, before
Shoot.
we fully talk about the thing that we're actually talking about right now, let me tell you what else was going on in the world of Jim Henson during February of 1985. These all come from Jim's Red Book, a delightful site which has a bunch of Jim's journal entries that he kept back in 60s, 70s, 80s. And it is really helpful for the context to know what else was going on at this time. So on February 11th, 1985, Jim writes, "Meet with Bowie in Gstaad. His deal is set February 15th.
Who's Gstaad?
In Gstaad. Gstaad
in
is
Gstaad.
a place. I believe it's in Switzerland. I don't know why they were both there. Maybe one of them flew to meet the other one there. But
It is in Switzerland, yes.
yeah, for some reason they met there. Maybe international waters kind of thing. Like we can't negotiate this in New York.
We can't talk about Labyrinth anywhere. It's illegal.
But that deal was set on February 15th, and Jim wrote, "Bowie's deal is set. Muppet Show on Tour opens at Felt Forum, Madison Square Garden."
Felt Forum.
Yeah, so mentioned previously on another episode of the podcast that Jim Henson and David Bowie had met up, where Jim had showed Bowie some of Brian Froud's artwork and a copy of The Dark Crystal, and that was back in June of 1984. And then they met again in Gstaad, which we just talked about, to sort of iron out the details of this, which clearly worked because a few days later he is signing the deal. But at the same time, same day, the arena show version of the Muppet Show, live on tour, which we've talked about, was happening at Madison Square Garden. I do not know about the Felt Forum part of this. I think
I just looked it up.
it's like a small theater attached to Madison Square Garden, right?
Yep. It's the theater at Madison Square Garden, which is a theater in Madison Square Garden. located beneath the main Madison Square Garden arena. And it was called the Felt Forum in honor of then President Irving Mitchell Felt. So it's just a coincidence that Muppets are made of felt. Or Muppets they're made of fleece. So never mind. Be the Fleece Forum.
There's probably some felt involved in some of them.
There probably is. And in 2018, it was renamed the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. Now it's just the theater at Madison Square Garden. I guess Hulu fell on some tough times. It's funny that there's the crypto arena. Isn't that funny?
Arena. Especially after like
the last few months.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't name your arena after internet stuff, guys. They're like pets.com arena for a while. I think there was.
But also, you can't forget that sometimes this works out. So there's an arena in Kentucky called the KFC Yum Center.
Oh, that's perfect, actually. That's beautiful. The Yum Center?
Yeah, with an exclamation point. KFC Yum Center.
That's the best. Well, yeah, okay. So sometimes it's good.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
I feel like food is pretty safe to name your arena after. Like if I went to the Pepsi arena, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
Love to go to the Pepsi arena.
And that exists, I believe. So
the Staples Center, though, it's about staples. I don't want to think about that while I'm at a basketball game. It's like, oh, paper.
I like that you don't like Crypto.com Arena, but you also don't like the old name of Staples Center.
Oh, is that the same place?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The Staples Center became Crypto.com.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they've just had bad names the whole time. They just have the person picking their names is not doing a good job. That's the long and short of it.
I think many people are going to disagree with you about the Staples part of that.
Okay. They just have whatever.
Bad opinions.
Whatever that is. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, getting back to Jim Henson, on February 16th, 1985, he had his third annual masked ball at the Waldorf Astoria with celebrity guests, he wrote in his journal.
He didn't say who, though.
He didn't.
Being coy.
But there is a brief clip you can find on the internet of this where you see him greeting Andy Warhol at this masked ball, who notably is not in costume. He's just
that seems
Andy Warhol in his black leather coat with his white hair.
Wow, what a weird life Jim must have had.
That's what Night of 100 Stars made me think. Because there's so many people on that dais that I never would have considered Jim Henson meeting or crossing paths with.
Yeah.
And then you see them on the same stage doing a kick line together and you're like, wow.
The kick
okay. Speaking of that, the next entry in Jim's journal is from February 17th, 1985, the night of 100 Stars at Radio City. They mention in Jim's Red Book, as sort of a refresher, that currently there's a thing called the Night of 100 Stars, which is a gala that Martin Scorsese's Film Foundation does on Oscar night, which is a very different thing. I think it's just a party that happens on Oscar night.
Did they steal the name?
I think it maybe transitioned through the years into a different thing.
Okay.
Originally, Night of 100 Stars was a benefit performance held in New York in 1982, celebrating the centennial of the Actors Fund of America. Notable right now, because that is now the Entertainment Community Fund, I believe. It just became that at a certain point.
Like getting people through the strike? Is that what?
Correct.
Okay.
So right now, WGA and SAG are both currently still on strike. And so, donate if you can.
That's why we need this event.
We
can't write anything for it, though, I guess. So.
True. Yes. We need to think of this idea before there's crises.
Shoot.
We got to put on a Night of 100 Stars before there is a strike.
Yeah. Dang. Okay.
But this was a 3-hour television special.
Oh, my God.
That was apparently, I found this on one page. It could be wrong. The way they made this was not just like, it doesn't seem like everyone was just there for 3 hours watching this happen. It seems like they did some sort of benefit thing over multiple days that was like 7 hours of entertainment. And they edited it down to 3 hours for TV. But we previously talked about the fact that Miss Piggy performed with Placido Domingo on one of these that we watched. And then this year is the one that Jim and the Muppets went to. It was at Radio City Music Hall. And you might as well just talk about it right now because people like Dr. Seuss and Rosa Parks were there. the orchestra of this thing is conducted by Leonard Bernstein. Like Drew Barrymore and Billy D. Williams are there at the very beginning of this thing. And it just feels like this thing must have cost so much money that I hope they earned at least a couple bucks for the actors. Because to get everyone there, to put this kind of show on, to have the Rockettes lowered into the stage as they are dancing, and then to also lower the orchestra into the same stage.
This was back in the 80s. They didn't have the technology for that.
But the opening is basically just a medley of songs about New York. They start singing the theme song from Arthur because it's about New York City, and a bunch of other songs about New York City. And that's when Carol Channing shows up to start singing I Like New York in June with Big Bird.
I feel like some people would be like, you could tell that they were like, I have to sing with the stupid Muppet. But I don't feel like Carol Channing is like, I have to sing with the stupid Muppet.
No.
She's into it.
Well, yeah, because it's also when Carol Channing first comes out and starts singing, you start to hear people laugh, and you're like, oh, why are they laughing at her? But then you realize in the wide shot, oh, Big Bird's there.
Yeah, Big Bird was walking up. I also noticed the laughing and was like, she's not inherently. I mean,
she's a little silly.
She is styled to be silly, but you don't really chuckle at somebody who just looks a little goofy, you know?
Well, speaking of looking a little goofy, they got a great choice. They have Joe Namath come out and sing the Jet song from West Side Story.
Just biffs it completely, too.
He's not a singer, Sam.
He's
a jet.
Only give him a few lines. Yeah. Oh, I get it now. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. He was a jet.
Okay, I take it back. It's funny. Is that why the Jets are called the Jets?
I can't imagine that's so.
Well, okay. Someone else. You know, Muppet Church will tell us. We have a big list of questions for him this time.
Well, thankfully, the Muppets come out to save us from Joe Namath driving a bus and singing New York, New York.
Makes sense for Fozzie to be a bus driver, is what I wrote down.
That's his night job.
I think that's probably what he's doing right now in between work.
Since Muppets Take Manhattan, he's like, I gotta get a gig.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. There's nothing on the horizon for me.
But the collection of Muppets on this bus is kind of wild. We have the Count, Grover, Telly, Oscar, Ernie, Bert, Janice, Floyd, Dr. Teeth, Scooter, Rolf, Bunsen, Beaker, the Swedish Chef, Gonzo, Uncle Traveling Matt, Statler, Waldorf, Kermit, and Barkley.
All the superstars, with the exception of Matt, I would say. Like, that's a pretty powerful selection of Muppets.
Yeah, I mean...
Except Miss Piggy's not there.
I guess if you're going to have, like, some Fraggle Rock representation there, it's probably good. Since that show is currently airing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Barkley gets included, but no Miss Piggy?
Well, I feel like there must be a reason. You're sure she's not in it somewhere else?
I mean, according to Muppet Wiki, I have not watched the full 3 hours of this show, but according to Muppet Wiki, there's no mention of Miss Piggy being in this program.
Maybe Frank couldn't go, and they thought, if Miss Piggy's there and doesn't do something, people will think that's weird.
I don't think so, though. I feel like Fozzie's there and Grover's there, Bert's there, like every other character except for like Cookie Monster, which is, I guess, weird that he's not there either. But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of wild that with all those Muppets that you would include, you know, Scooter and Floyd.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And not have Miss Piggy. But yeah, it's kind of nice just to see the Muppets being included amongst those high-ranking celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel out of place at all when they showed up.
They had like a big show-stopping set piece, in fact. They were treated very respectfully.
And then, for some reason, later on in the show, they have a little fashion show segment where a bunch of men are being escorted out in their top hats and tails down some stairs by some ladies. Maybe the Rockettes. I don't know.
Maybe. It seems like the end of the show also. No, I guess there's a weird cut.
Yeah, there's some weird editing that happens, and we just see the credits after that for some reason. So somewhere in the 3 hours, this weird thing happens. But it is just a parade of men that all have to take their hats off so the crowd will recognize them.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss in a top hat gives off a different vibe than just normal Richard Dreyfuss, for sure.
It's a little Dr. Demento.
It is. Yeah. Man, and they all look different levels of completely miserable, except Matt Dillon, who looks high as fuck.
Well, you got Charles Bronson walking out there.
That's a crazy person to meet, Jim Henson, for sure.
We've got recently mentioned on the podcast Cab Calloway. So another crossover between Blues Brothers and Muppets. Michael Caine, Billy Crystal, Richard Dreyfuss, Matt Dillon, Bob Fosse, Doc Hopper himself, Charles Durning is there.
That was good to see, yeah.
And then David Frost walks down right before a very awkward-looking Jim Henson who wishes he could be anywhere else in this moment.
He's lurching, isn't he? He's just like...
He's like trying to turtle his head into his neck. Like, can I hide behind my own beard, please?
And he's just like, okay, let's get this. Yeah, I don't know. Poor guy. I mean, I guess he's not used to that kind of thing, but they should have let him have Kermit or something.
Yeah.
That would have made him feel better.
Well, and he's followed by a similarly awkward Marvin Hamlish, so at least he's not the only awkward man up there.
Yeah.
But they keep bringing out celebrities who get like bigger and bigger applause. Burgess Meredith gets a huge applause,
yeah,
which was great to see.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest cheer by far goes to Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, who was like, what the hell? They got Jimmy Stewart to be there?
I think that's what the clapping was. Everyone was like, holy shit, they did it.
Yeah.
They peaked.
Overall, my first note on Night of 100 Stars is this rules and we should keep doing this. This should have stopped. We should be on Night of 100 Stars, 30 whatever.
And it should end with a hologram of Jimmy Stewart.
Every one of them, yeah. Just getting, every year they increase the size of it a little bit. And so he's just like giant. You know?
What do we have here?
Oh, that would be really scary if a giant said that to you.
It's like reverby throughout the whole hall.
Pick you up. Like King Kong.
Yeah. But this sounds bizarre enough already. All of this sounds fake, like we're making it up. The next part sounds extremely fake. Because once they have all of these extremely famous men out there with the Rockettes lined up, the Rockettes start to do a kick line. And you're like, okay, these men are sort of rocking back and forth a little bit, like enjoying the Rockettes. But then the men, including presumably Jim Henson, we don't get to see him, but presumably he's involved. We do get to see the likes of Richard Dreyfuss, Matt Dillon, and Jimmy Stewart attempt to join in with the kick line.
Oh. I feel so embarrassed for all of them.
I just imagine, having somebody like Billy Crystal, he's probably giving it his all. Like 80s Billy Crystal is kicking as high as he possibly can. Next to Burgess Meredith, who's like, it's the best I got.
If I move my legs, I will shatter into a million pieces. And next to Richard Dreyfuss, who's probably like, fuck this. I am not moving my legs.
I don't move my legs for less than $1,000.
Exactly.
I think that's enough about old men doing kick lines. So how about we talk about some Fraggle Rock? First up, on February 11th, 1985, we have Home is Where the Trash Is, written by former guest of the podcast, Sujith Varghese, and directed by George Bloomfield. And yet again, I put in my notes, good job, Sujith.
When I saw his name at the end, I was like, you did it, my friend.
You did it again, sir.
Yeah.
What a great episode of television.
You once again introduced a piece of completely bonkers lore and magic to this world. But
interestingly enough, his first one was The Beast at Blue Rock, where Marjorie first exhibited her psychic abilities.
Yes, that's true.
So he really likes giving Marjorie some psychic abilities.
He's got a high opinion of Marjorie.
One thing to note about this that will come into the story we're going to talk about here. Apparently, on the DVD set for the third season, Lawrence Merkin explained that they didn't make foreign versions of Philo and Gunge puppets, which is why when they are crossing over with Doc's workshop, we do not see them because they are behind piles of trash. Is because if they showed them in that version, conceivably they'd be showing them in the German version and the UK version, and they couldn't do that, so they had to figure out a trick to hide them.
Okay. I thought that was a little weird.
Mm-hmm. But yes, this is Doc's first holiday weekend as the part-time manager at the B&B. And he says it's going to be...
I didn't know he was just a part-time manager. That made me kind of sad.
I mean, it feels like Doc's role is being reduced every single week a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know that he has any real responsibilities other than busy work. Like this talent show idea we get to later, that doesn't feel like something they asked him to do.
Oh, that's what it's for. I missed the line where he explained why he was doing it.
It's talent night at the Captain's Inn.
Oh, okay. That's fun for him.
But he says today's going to be a good day, and Sprocket is on to Doc and the fact that he has a crush on Miss Ardath.
Mm-hmm.
But Doc is also on to Sprocket, who has a crush on Marigold, the Airedale. And, for a while here, it's going to feel like every other episode where I'm like, man, Doc and Sprocket, why are they in this show? Thankfully, we get an answer in this episode.
Yeah, this one gave them a reason to exist.
And this episode transitions from Doc's workshop down to Philo and Gunge, which was a bit shocking. And even more shocking is when they both declare that this is the day that they get out of here and go home.
They're revealing that they've lived some kind of waiting for Godot kind of existence, it seems like.
The fact that, they have another home and they're going to leave Marjorie when the only things we've learned about them up to this point is that they are like attached to the hip with Marjorie and they dote on her and they love her and they could never leave her. And so the fact that they're finally just like, yeah, let's get out of here. You're like,
well, it seems like every morning they wake up and say, time to go.
That's true.
And then they then they get past Marjorie and they're like, I guess we do love her. We have to stay. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's a bit sad.
Yeah.
And they spin it so it's a little sweet by the end, but it also still is sad.
Yeah.
And that's when they explain that they were simply on their way home when Marjorie came to life and started asking them for help.
Strange.
I did not expect Marjorie to be like a Frosty the Snowman of trash.
Yeah. And I was like, it's not clear if it's something that they knew that they could do, or they go around Fraggle Rock, it seems like, making piles of trash. And this particular pile of trash came to life. And they keep trying to do it to other piles of trash too, but they can't. So maybe it's a little bit of both. Like she's got something, they've got something. I don't know.
Well, and we saw, the lore of Marjorie is expanded, but not deeper. Because we also saw when she was moved around to different parts of the Gorg Garden, she got different accents. Which how does that tie into Philo and Gunge creating her?
Yeah, right. Well, are they wrong? Did they not? Well, no, they did because she's connected to them and dies when they're gone.
Yeah, I don't know if they explicitly say that they built her original pile of trash.
No,
but
they just say they walked past it.
Yeah, but it is implied that she came to life because of their presence. Marjorie doesn't want them to leave. I don't know if she already knows that without them she will die, or if she's sort of just a bad empty nester who's trying to guilt her children into staying at home. It comes across more like the latter of those two.
Yeah.
She's like, fine, if you're going to leave me and you're going to do this and this. And
if you got a psychic attachment to somebody, maybe it's kind of annoying to have them like off wandering the globe and you're just getting like their mental.
It's like Superman. Like, you're just hearing it too often. Just all the noise at once.
Like, they're hungry, but I don't even know where they are.
Well, to keep him around, she tells him that there are worse monsters out there in the world than Gorgs. There is Wander McMooch, which she says is her old nemesis.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Never seen any evidence of that.
Yeah, it set up a weird vibe for McMooch right out the gate in this, because it was like, well, the last time we saw him, he was just like a conniving businessman who happened to wander into the area and tried to buy the castle.
Yeah, and was a different size completely than he is now.
And I think maybe he was driven mad by his dealing with the Gorgs, because he seems to be a very different character.
Mm-hmm.
But it also seems
it also doesn't make that jet sound when he moves.
He doesn't fly.
Which I hated. Yeah.
We don't see him zipping around in the.
Yeah. Instead, he's got like a scooter or something. Isn't he like on a scooter later?
Yes.
When Philo and Gunge are pulling them.
When he's using them as reindeer.
Razor scooter, yeah.
Yeah. They decide to still leave, but unfortunately, they don't know their way home, which again is sad. Still sad that they're standing up for themselves. They decide to leave, but yet they don't actually know where they're from.
Yeah, it's like disturbing, kind of. I gotta say, I love Philo and Gunge so much. They're they're like the perfect Muppets to me.
Yeah, they will be our Muppets of the Week this week, so we can sing all their praises later on. But I was already excited when the episode kicked off with them in hopes that we were getting an episode about them. And then as it continued, and I was like, oh, this even has like minimal Fraggles throughout. This was a great choice. But speaking of those Fraggles, Red and Moki wander by, and they ask Red and Moki for directions to get home. But of course, because of the way they ask that, Red and Moki give them directions to their home, which...
Yeah, it's, a little lack of awareness on their part, I would say.
Yeah, because they walk away and they're like, why did Philo and Gunge want directions to our house? Smash cut to Philo and Gunge taking over Red and Moki's apartment, sleeping in Red's hammock, and wanting to make a brand new trash heap.
I love that they like call out that their apartment's trashed. I think that's endearing that they have a trashed up apartment.
And they try to make good use of it. They try to make a brand new trash heap because I guess they do miss Marjorie. And they sing a fantastic song called Home about how wonderful home is, even though they don't actually know what it's like or where it is. And they try to make the new heap and are surprised when this pile does not come to life. So they return to Marjorie after getting kicked out of Red and Moki's apartment. And now she's mad at them.
Well, they come back and say, we're just going to leave tomorrow instead.
Yes.
So that's kind of rude.
Yeah, she says, I never want to see your rodent-ish faces again. But checking back in with Doc, this is when Doc brings his own trash into the workshop because the sanitation workers are on strike and he can't let it pile up outside the inn.
So he's got to bring it inside, though?
Where else is he going to put it?
Like behind his house or something.
See, that's a good idea, Sam.
There's several other places he could put it.
But it's not a funny idea.
He could throw it in the woods.
Throw it in the woods.
Yeah. And they make so much damn trash at this inn, too.
Yeah, in one day. They basically fill his workshop with trash bags. Which I guess if you have a kitchen going, it's a bed and breakfast, they're making food throughout the day. I've seen Gilmore Girls. There's a lot of cooking going on in there.
Yeah, and if their kitchen's like Suki's kitchen, she always has like 80 million bowls of fruit for no reason.
She's married to Jackson.
I guess so. But pineapples and stuff, I don't think he grows pineapples. She's got tropical fruit in there.
Yeah, I guess he's probably not able to grow pineapples in Stars Hollow.
No.
Well, there are some very creepy, good cave bugs in this episode as Philo and Gunge wander through the caves. And they wander right into Wembley, who, of course it's Wembley, easily convinced of things, allows them to stay just for one night in his cave.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. We're going to learn all about how nice a guy is later.
Yeah, sometimes too nice. Even right now, when they take Gobo's bed.
They got their little pajamas, too.
So Gobo and Wembley are forced to bunk together. And Philo and Gunge, of course, can't sleep without getting a story told to them. So this is how we transition to Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard in this episode.
I think all three of these episodes, when the postcard starts, somebody goes, "Oh God, damn it!"
In this one, Uncle Traveling Matt is staying at a Round Wire Hotel, which is a trash can, and he gets taken to the dump. And he thinks it's a giant trash heap, but he says instead of wisdom, this trash heap has seagulls.
That one made me laugh. I got the rare Matt laugh.
My only issue with it is that he knows what seagulls are.
Oh my gosh, great point. This guy doesn't know what anything is.
They don't know what anything is, and they also were confused by birds in Wembley's egg episode.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The tree creatures.
Right. Yeah.
So I was shocked to hear him say the word seagulls.
Well, yeah, maybe in outer space, somebody just got really fed up with him and said, "That's a seagull," and that's the only thing he's learned the entire time he's been up.
Yeah, the next postcard will be him explaining. So I know I mentioned seagulls last time. Sorry if that was confusing.
Let me back up a few steps.
Yeah. During this time is when we get to see Marjorie getting weaker and weaker, showing that she is essentially dying now that Philo and Gunge have left her side.
Yeah, there's a few things that they never really come right out and say in this episode in an interesting way. That being one of them, like you can just intuit that is why she's dying.
Right.
But also they never really explicitly say that she was, they never are like, she was brought to life by us.
Right.
And she will die without us.
Which I'm okay with from the most part. I think we don't like necessarily need an over explanation of the lore. But when things get this drastic of I will die without you is like, oh,
Yeah.
can we get a little
She
bit?
could have said that to somebody at some point.
Yeah. Instead of saying there's monsters out there, please don't leave, you could say, oh, and by the way, I will literally die. So if you want me to die, leave. But she also talks to Red and Moki about how terrible she's feeling to let them know sort of what's going on. So the Fraggles start to get an idea of some of this connection that's happening.
I like when she's like, oh, I never thought I'd have to be the one to say this, but the trash heap has spoken. And then melts into herself.
It's a surprising amount of sadness in an episode that I don't feel overall has a sad vibe to it.
No, it's got a unique vibe and a little bit of a existential vibe, but not necessarily sad.
Well,
and then the vibe changes a lot when Wander McMooch shows up.
It's
and
scary.
It's like, what the fuck? Yeah.
But before we get there, Gobo kicks Philo and Gunge out of his cave because the morning after he had to bunk up with Wembley, he falls out of Wembley's cave hole. And as Philo and Gunge start wandering, they wander right into Doc's workshop because they smelled all of Doc's trash. And this is great.
Something actually happened that affected the rest of the show.
There's trash
a perfect
there.
Thing.
There's trash in the postcard. There's trash everywhere. It's a great episode.
Seems like a low bar to clear to me, but...
Unfortunately, not only is there trash in the workshop, but there's also a dog who immediately chases them out of the workshop.
He's built up some tolerance for Gobo, but he can't handle two guys.
Gobo, very cute. And Philo and Gunge, I think, are more of an acquired taste.
You can tell that they are going to give you a disease if you let them hang out too long.
Yeah, they have some terrible things living in their fur, I am sure. So now Philo and Gunge wander out to the middle of nowhere. They seem to be sort of near a pond or something. They're outdoors.
And they're outside.
Yeah, we see the moon.
Wherever that is.
Presumably the Gorg moon. Which
just an infinite black, inky wasteland.
And, unfortunately, this is when Wander McMooch shows up.
I think he was okay in this episode. I don't really have a problem with him. I mean, I feel like he sucked so bad last time that does set up the appropriate level of like, oh, this asshole, you know? That's how you're supposed to feel when he shows up.
Well, and I think that he goes so far over the evil line in this that...
he really does.
He doesn't win me over in that I like him, but the use of him, I think, is very good.
Yeah. It's like between this and the Genie episode, like it's not necessarily bad to have an evil character pop up every now and then.
Especially if they're evil in an interesting way. Because I think for me, I think that this episode does a couple things really interestingly, like showing relationships between characters like Philo and Gunge and Marjorie, and then doing that sort of thing, building up a relationship in a pretty simple way, deeper than we've ever seen with some of the Fraggles. And like how they need each other and how they survive and live with each other.
Yeah. We understand way more about like Marjorie's life cycle than we do about the Fraggles by a long shot.
Right. And so I think like for me, getting that in the same episode as we get a really evil villain who lays out his plan pretty clearly.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is a really well done episode.
And the visual of him having tied them to his scooter and making them be sled dogs is very funny.
He jumps into his song because he had a plan. No matter who he came across out in this vast wandering around area, he was gonna enslave them essentially.
Yeah.
Because he immediately jumps into his song "Manic McMooch," parentheses, "find you, bind you, grind you," which the lyrics here include, "No one else has wined and dined you. No one else can mastermind you. All I want to do is bind you." Yeah. It's a little 50 Shades of Grey, but...
kind of, I guess that has a sensual element to it for sure.
But this is definitely not sensual because he has tied them up like sled dogs to his razor scooter.
That's not sexy at all.
Not going to kink shame. Somebody out there wants to be tied like a sled dog to a razor scooter? I say go for it.
That's fine. I mean, it's definitely fine, but...
Thankfully, this is the moment when Marjorie tells the Fraggles about her old nemesis, and the Fraggles vow to defeat him.
Pretty convenient that she does have a psychic connection to them in this moment, because there is no other way they would ever have found Philo and Gunge.
No. Yeah, they are.
They would be lost forever.
They could just be going in the opposite direction of Fraggle Rock forever,
Yeah.
and they would never be able to track them down. But we get a bunch of new sets and bugs again as they sort of travel through another sort of swampy looking area.
Yeah. I like the guy with like the inflating, like a frog bug.
Yeah.
He was cool.
But they get to McMooch's home, and the Fraggles show up. And basically, the key to defeating McMooch, it turns out, is affection and cuteness.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what the Fraggles were going to do.
No.
I think the Fraggles were going to beat him to
Yeah,
death.
Gobo didn't even wear his vest. He was there in his sleeveless,
wanna get
rolled up
blood on
shirt.
his skin.
He's like,
Yeah.
I don't get blood on my vest.
Yeah, they really just say like, let's go get him.
Mhm.
What else could that mean? Let's go get him. And I bet they could really beat somebody's ass too. I bet Fraggles are strong because they just are like out there running around all the time.
Especially
So they could
Red.
probably give you a good punch. Yep. Red and Gobo, I bet both of them.
Boober,
like,
I'm less
Gobo-
afraid of.
Boober could poison you.
Which Fraggle could you beat up in a fight?
Moki.
Wow, that was quick.
She's got hands.
She's also a bit taller, so she's got a
Okay.
reach that the other ones don't have.
I don't think any of them.
You don't think you could
honestly.
defeat any of them?
Well, they're not that small. You
You're
know?
like 2 feet tall. I remind you, that's about pelvic height.
I think if you like got your foot on top of them and you were just really like held them down, you could do like the thing with like a spider where you like put a cup over the top of them. You know?
I mean, Junior Gorg has essentially done that to them before.
That's true. A
where
bucket.
he puts like a
You gotta
basket or a
have a
bucket on
bucket.
top of them.
It does seem like a bucket is the key to defeating a Fraggle. Who could I beat? I mean, yeah, I'm gonna stand by Moki. And Boober, because Boober could sneak something into your drink and you die.
Yeah.
But there's no way that you couldn't just like tighten that scarf around his neck and be like, all right, I'm just gonna keep pulling.
Yeah, I feel like Wembley we could all take, though. I feel like
You think Wembley we could take?
I think you could convince Wembley to throw the fight.
But if they had like, I'm picturing them with like zombie disease bloodlust. Like they're just gonna get you and you can't reason with them in this moment. Like you have done something that deserves their malice.
Well, and we
they're gonna
learned
get you.
When they got sick that they do have teeth.
Oh,
So even
yeah,
when we
you're
can't
right.
see them, they could bite you.
Put the chomp on you. Yeah, I think Wembley is nuts, and I think he would jump on you and he would like spin your head around. He'd like grab
Oh.
on and go like
Like when he
You know?
jumped on Gobo's back to hold him down from floating,
Yeah.
he'd do that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
tighter, like a boa constrictor.
Yeah. It would be like fighting a chimpanzee. I think it'd basically be like the same thing. Like a little monkey
Yeah.
would just be like
You just rip your face
and
off.
get you. But I think Moki is too high. I think she'd be like, yeah, man, how's it going? I'm gonna punch you, and then you'd just be like, push her over. I wouldn't mess with a Fraggle for sure.
Especially there's so many of them.
Yeah,
Like if Doc went
If-
into Fraggle Rock and they turned on him,
he never would be seen again.
mm-mm.
Sprocket would have one of his bones in his bone
It'd
collection.
be like Gulliver's Travels, but he'd be a skeleton.
Yeah, exactly.
They just swarm him like piranhas.
So that's what they would do to Wander McMooch. They could easily, each of them would grab a limb and just pull Wander McMooch into 4 pieces.
Especially because it seems like he can't fly in this version.
Yeah, exactly.
If he can
His
fly,
powers are diminished.
everything changes. He can get away.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much the end of that episode.
They kill Wander McMooch horribly. No, Philo going to kiss him until he says yuck, yuck.
Right.
no.
Basically, what gives Marjorie power is what defeats Wander McMooch.
Yeah, which is an interesting concept that it's almost too bad that they never bring him back to ever think about or explore ever again.
And the fact that he is supposed to be Marjorie's nemesis, but they have
Yeah.
no interaction whatsoever.
Yeah, it would be fun if there was one where they were in direct conflict with each other.
Or if
but-
he knew somehow about this connection or found out about it and was like, oh, if I keep you here, my old nemesis Marjorie's going to die. Ah, ah, ah.
What if there was one where Marjorie was giving the Fraggles advice and Wander McMooch was giving Marlin conflicting
Oh,
advice
no.
somehow?
There's an
And there
evil
was, like,
trash heap?
There's an evil trash heap. Yeah. There's only one evil Fraggle though, so it really
That feels
It's
like one of
kinda-
those ideas where we say it out loud and somehow it actually happens later on.
yeah.
Like, I feel like an evil trash heap or maybe a corrupted trash heap could happen.
Yes, the dark trash heap.
Well, fingers crossed. Because for now, Marjorie just reads the story to Philo and Gunge, And they have this moment where Philo and Gunge say, "We could never live without you." And she says, "I couldn't live without you either. Once you left, I started to die."
She said that? I missed
She
that.
says exactly those words. I made sure to write it down verbatim. But like, that's the last moment of the Marjorie storyline is she's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I can't live without you either because I did literally start to die. So don't leave again."
That's a crazy last line.
But of course, we actually have to end with Doc and Sprocket, who have made a mountain out of the garbage because their story doesn't get resolved at all. Because the garbage strike continues, maybe for a week.
Yeah, I was like, I thought I missed something,
Nope.
and then I watched it again. I was like, oh, okay.
Nope.
They just have a bunch of trash in their house.
That's just the end of the story.
Miss Ardath didn't say, you don't have to do that. She said, you do have to do that.
I'm gonna guess it's pretty high. But what would you rate that episode there, Sam?
That was a 4-star episode
I
of
thought
Fraggle
it
Rock.
might
It was
be.
so fun. It was like so fun to watch. Because I can't remember any of them, but Philo and Gunge, just the way that they talk to each other and like snip at each other, they're just such a great duo.
Yeah, I know we don't get a ton of trash heap in Philo and Gunge throughout the next few seasons, but I'm looking forward to any time they do show up.
And they're so stinking cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I there's not like a lot of puppet replicas that I want,
Yeah.
but I would take a Philo or a
Get a little
Gunge.
Philo and Gunge. That would be great.
What if we
Yeah.
each had one? Sam, that'd be so cute. If you had a Philo
I
and
don't know
a
which
Gunge?
one's which. Do you know which one's
We'll
which?
get into that a bit later in the Muppet of the Week segment.
Okay.
I also
Okay,
always mix
cool.
them up. But
Okay.
I think we have an episode coming up. I don't know if it's this season or next season, where there'll be a pretty clear line drawn between which one is Philo and which one is Gunge.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay.
But for now, we've got to move on to the February 18th, 1985 episode Believe It or Not, written by Jocelyn Stevenson and directed by Terry Maskell. Gobo, Moki, and Boober are not in this episode.
I think that's okay every now and then.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a nice box to sort of write yourself into. I don't know whether
Mhm.
it's, scheduling issues or, hey, this person's going to play this character this week, and so they only want to do one. I'm not sure what leads to those scenarios, but I think it's an interesting challenge. If it was like, hey, you have to write an episode of The Muppet Show, and Kermit, Fozzie, and Piggy can't be there this week.
Right. Oh, that would be good.
Right. Like
They
you have to
need
write
that kind of
if
thing.
you had to write a Jim and Frank free episode of The Muppet Show.
Wow, that would be fun. I mean, that's kind of Fraggle Rock.
Yes, but I'm saying like the challenge
I
of
know
that
what
is
you're
interesting. But first, we get a relatable storyline with Doc and Sprocket because Doc is mocking Miss Ardath for being afraid of spiders, but he finds out his own dog Sprocket is also afraid of spiders.
I think a lot of people are afraid of spiders. I think he's being a little weird about this.
Yeah, he says we shouldn't kill spiders, and I disagree.
I agree in theory, but I can't live up to that belief.
Yes. If I could easily transport every spider I see outside and did not have to think about it jumping on me, sure.
Yeah.
But that's not the life we live.
But if the roles were reversed and you walked into a spider's house, it would kill you instantly. So I love Sprocket's acting in this moment with the shoe where Doc's like, oh, I took the spider outside, and Sprocket's just like, smash.
There's a lot of good Sprocket acting in this one. In the last episode, he's got a mask on because the garbage smells so bad.
Oh, yeah.
And in this one, he constantly has the shoe ready to smack at any spider who may cross his path. But down in Fraggle Rock, Wembley and Red are headed to the Gorg Garden. I noticed the Gorgs, this didn't just happen in this episode, but they've given up on the forsooth, my dear kind of thing, the old English talking.
I think she might say hark or something at one point. Like there is a couple every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's definitely very different. And that I feel like maybe they didn't even start like that. Like that was something that kind of ramped up for a second. And then
it was only, I think,
like,
2 or
this
3
isn't
episodes, but I was so afraid it was going to last forever.
It was just a phase there. It was a sexual thing.
Oh, they were
sexual
role
thing.
playing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm fine with it. Good job, guys. By this point, Ma wants Pa to clean the basement of the castle, and Pa is resistant to doing anything helpful, so of course he doesn't want to do that. And in the meantime, Junior has trapped something that he wants to keep as a pet.
Yeah, just a creature with limitless shape-shifting powers.
The most powerful creature we've ever seen on Fraggle Rock, maybe.
Yeah.
Who we meet via song called Now You See Me, Now You Don't, where Red and Wembley run into a Dave Goals creature who can turn invisible and also change the way he looks whenever he wants. And I both love and hate Skinfrith.
Well, he demands a certain respect, doesn't he?
That's true.
But he also has a very annoying baby voice too.
Yeah, it's a little World's Oldest Fraggle-y. It's got like that Dave Goals essence on it, but something about the look of him with that voice is just kind of unpleasant.
Yeah, I think he's not cute exactly. I think it makes it better at the end when Ma adopts him as a pet that he's got a baby voice, because it does make him seem like he's helpless. Like, he's pretty helpless, even though he has infinite power. He is unable to control it in any way. So it makes it a little less weird that he's not like, yes, hello, I'm a guy. And then he has to be her little baby, because then he's just like, I like being a little baby.
As Sam mentioned earlier, Red wants Skinfrith to have pigtails, and so he gets pigtails. And he loves to swim because Red likes to swim, and Red is projecting in a very successful way in this episode.
Pretty harmless way, too. Those are pretty
but it was at
things,
this point where I started thinking, how is this going to backfire? Because there's no way this just is great for 20 minutes. And for some reason, Wembley decides to bring up Uncle Traveling Matt at this point in the story. And we see a wild Uncle Traveling Matt segment where he is at Buckingham Palace, the actual one, asking the guards why they wear their furry pets on their heads.
The actual guards.
And he's poking
screamed
them
at by a Muppet.
and yelling at it. There's a ton of people watching. Like,
the worst day of this guy's life.
I am amazed that they pulled this off.
Yeah.
Like, this is maybe the most ambitious Traveling Matt segment they've ever done.
Do you see that TikTok or whatever where the guard like boots that little kid?
I have not.
You ever seen that one? There's one where a guy's marching and like a kid wanders in front of him and he keeps marching and he like just boots him and he goes flying. I was like, that's gonna happen to Matt. This guy's gonna get booted, but he doesn't get booted. He just makes a fool of this royal guard and then goes about his merry way. And how did he get to England in the first place?
I mean, we can't start asking that question. He's traveled to so many other countries, like Australia and Austria and all this stuff. So England is not the outlier here.
Yeah, he absolutely made an ass of himself in front of the Queen too. I can guarantee it.
We don't get to see that one though. The Queen had all the tapes wiped. This is when we learn that Pa apparently let the basement flood and then just nailed the door shut so he didn't have to deal with it.
A very relatable way to handle your problems. I think he does say that it's been like that for generations. I think he says one of Ma's family did that a long time ago.
I mean, that feels like a lie, though, right?
I suppose you're right. Yeah.
I didn't do that. One of your ancestors probably did that.
The basement being flooded, and that's how Skinfrith gets in the basement, is pretty sweaty, but I did love the concept of the basement door being nailed shut.
Well,
Rachel also does the thing to me, because earlier in the thing, Pa's like, the basement doesn't need to be cleaned. You just think it needs to be cleaned. And sometimes when the house is dirty, Rachel will say, you just think the house needs to be clean. The house is totally fine. Be like, it's not. It's killing me.
So was she watching this episode with you going, see? It's all in your head.
She was in a different room for this one.
Well, yeah, Skinfrith wants to go swimming in the basement because Red told him he likes swimming. And this is when Ma thinks there's the monster in the basement, which of course turns Skinfrith into a monster.
Yeah, and he says, I hate being a monster, which is sad. Body horror.
Yeah, this is a sad one as well. Check back in with the Gorgs, who are talking about how much they dislike monsters, specifically monsters with 3 big googly eyes and fangs. And there's definitely a sweaty premise here where they keep saying, like, I bet he's got 3 big googly eyes and fangs, and I bet he's got 2 heads, and I bet it's like, that's okay. The only reason they're talking this way is because that's exactly how he gains his powers.
That's true. But I mean, it's part of the lesson of the episode that like you can whip yourself up into being scared of things that aren't scary. But yeah, I think also in this scene, Ma calls Pa and Junior poop naughties. Is that right?
I did not catch that.
I think she says, you poop naughties. Bad thing to say.
I did not catch that. But yes, this is when Skinfrith calls out, don't tell me I'm a monster. I hate being a monster.
Ugh.
And
Frankenstein,
that puppet is amazing.
Yeah, he's great.
Great.
For as stupid as Skinfrith looks before he turns into a monster, he looks badass when he was a monster.
Yeah, especially once he gets 2 heads. And you can tell, I think this is it's hard to tell how big Skinfrith is, which I think is intentional. They try to make him seem really big, but I don't think he's a giant suit necessarily.
Oh.
Because you can tell they're filming him in slow motion. When he's thrashing around a lot, they're filming him in slow motion to make him, I think, feel a little bigger and heavier. So yeah, I'm not sure the scale of Skinfrith, but regardless, the puppet design is amazing.
One thing I noticed in this episode in particular was it doesn't seem like they use the little Fraggle puppets all that much anymore.
That's true.
They just use They use a lot more green screening and like close shots of them like sneaking behind walls and stuff.
I mean, maybe the technology was getting better with blue screen and green screen, and so they didn't have to rely on those as much. But yeah, first season they were everywhere. And now this is the first time we've seen them in a while. Is when we see Tiny, Red, and Wembley in this episode. I don't like this episode. I do love that puppet. One of the frustrating things for me about this episode is that Wembley cannot understand.
Oh my god,
that Skinfrith is the monster.
He sang a whole song about it, dude.
Every time Red is like, we got to help Skinfrith. And he's like, how can we help Skinfrith? There's a monster. It's like, well, let me explain this again, Wembley. Skinfrith is the monster, which is why we need to help him. But how can we help him? There's a monster.
That happened like 5 times in this episode.
Yeah.
This is one of those ones where something happens several times over that is identical just to make the episode longer. Ugh,
right. Like when the monster gets a second head, it's purely to extend this fear of the monster thing.
Yeah.
But
it's fine when Red goes down and gets scared because it's like understandable because she's looking at something scary.
Yeah.
But
the puppet gets more impressive as the plot gets messier. And I think Skinfrith is a really tragic character, and I wish we focused on him more and like had his side of things. Like he only gets a few lines, but every time he drops something, I'm like, yes, I really want to know more about this guy who can only be what people think of him.
Yeah, that's a great concept.
But as Ma has to be the brave one and go down to fight off the monster, somehow another sweaty thing happens where Junior is opening the door for Ma, and then he sees the Fraggles. He jumps to try and catch the Fraggles, but falls against the door, which locks Ma in with the Fraggles and the monster.
It also had Evil Dead vibes, I thought.
Because of the basement?
Yeah. Just seemed like something was going to reach through those stairs and get Ma.
All she would have had to say is, I bet this monster has a really long arm that's going to grab me off the stairs. And then just yoink.
Yeah, she could have imagined Skinfrith was something real horrible. Good thing he was just a kind of a cute guy.
Yeah, he was very cute. Well, Doc is still trying immersion therapy with Sprocket, surrounding Sprocket now with pictures and bug toys. And then Doc decides, you know what, Sprocket, look at me. You know who I am. I'm your friend, Doc. You trust me. Now look, if I put this paper spider on my head, are you scared of the spider? And then Sprocket hits him with a shoe.
Doc, he didn't graduate from pet psychology school.
This also is an extra Doc and Sprocket scene.
Oh,
we don't normally get 4 in an episode. We usually get
You're
beginning,
right.
middle, end. But this is when Wembley steps up and is actually the brave one and talks to Ma Gorg on Skinfrith's behalf to help him out. I think says, some heavy lines of, it's all your fault he's a monster, you monster. It's only a monster because you believe he is.
Is this the one that had a good message that was badly taught, you thought?
No, that's the next one.
Interesting. Okay.
This one has, I guess, a little bit as well. For me, I think this episode is muddy and messy, but the puppets and the sets are so good that I could overlook some of that. But the real moral throughout all of this is that, the fear is sometimes just in your head. The thing you're imagining is worse than what it actually is. So it's just a lesson about anxiety, folks.
I think it's also a lesson about projecting your fears onto other people who are different than you in various ways.
Yes.
And then seeing the worst in them. And then that's just like a feedback loop that...
Absolutely.
Did you think it was like, we never see Skinfrith again, right? Ma picks him up as a pet, and that's that for him.
I believe so.
That's too bad, because it would be okay if she was just walking around with him in her arms or something.
I was wondering why his name was Skinfrith, because that's a really weird name. It's a town in Wales. Apparently, it was a town close to where Jocelyn Stevenson lived, so that's
cool.
why. That's where the name came from. And apparently, in there's a comic, The Fraggle Who Cried Monster, Boober encounters another Skinfrith.
Oh, a different of the same species or something.
I think so, yeah.
Interesting.
So what would you rate that episode, Sam?
I think I give it a 2. Not my favorite, but even not a great Fraggle Rock episode, still pretty fun.
Yeah, I just wish there was a better story attached to those cool puppets and sets.
Yeah. Yeah, I just hate these cyclical stories where they're just like, we're out of money or we're out of ideas, so we just have to have Wembley keep saying, but the monster.
Yeah.
Very annoying.
Well, lastly, we have the episode Wembley and the Mean Genie from February 25th, 1985, written by Robert Sandler and directed by Douglas Williams.
Such a good title and a bad title at the same time. I mean, it's accurate. He is a mean genie.
Yeah, very accurate, and doesn't, bury the lead at all.
Yeah.
It also made me think, was this partially inspired by Mean Gene Okerlund, the wrestling announcer, who was very famous back in the 80s? I'm not going to say it definitely was because of that, but wrestling was huge at this time. The first WrestleMania was just about to happen, a month later. So Mean Gene was definitely around.
The rare instance of the Muppets getting the idea from something else.
Yeah, as we'll talk about in this episode, something else stole from the Muppets. But up in the workshop, Doc is practicing his act for the Captains in Talent Night, the amazing Doc and his talking sprocket. And he's dressed, in a little vaudeville outfit with a pork pie hat. That's a pork pie hat, right?
It's a straw boater.
What's a pork pie?
That's like what Fozzie wears.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, you're right.
You know why I know a lot about hats?
I don't.
From the game Team Fortress 2, because you could get hats in that, and they were all named what they really were. So now when I see hats, I'm just like, that's a Tyrolean. That's a Ushanka. I just know every hat.
Wow. Real chapeau man over here.
Yeah, I can't wear hats, but I know all about them. So that's really my ultimate curse.
You can't?
Head's too big. Head's too big.
We've had this discussion, and I think you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, I just don't look at it, Matt, and that's the end of that.
All right, then moving on.
At first, I thought that Doc was acknowledging that Sprocket was extremely smart, but he wasn't. He was just woofing.
Right, he didn't believe that he actually could
Sprocket
talk.
is kind of a talking dog. He's a talking, understanding dog, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, he can understand it, but he can't speak it.
Exactly.
I feel like this is also a bit that maybe Jimmy Dean and Rolf did together at some point.
Mm-hmm.
This feels familiar.
Now that you say that does sound. I think that does sound familiar, and that would be hilarious because then Rolf would be like, "Oh, you son of a."
Well, yeah,
make me woof.
I know there was an episode where Jimmy asked Rolf to be more like a normal dog.
Right.
And so he was barking about things. And so I'm wondering if maybe that was the episode, or maybe we just hear this somewhere else in the Muppet world at some point, but it felt familiar.
Gonna have to rewatch every episode, I guess.
Let's just start over, Sam.
Yeah.
Let's go back to episode 1 and do it all again.
Yeah, I don't remember shit.
Well, down in Fraggle Rock, the Fraggles are searching for special stuff, as they call it. Gobo finds a 2-headed broom for cleaning the floor and the ceiling at the same time, which,
He seems so excited about this very stupid thing.
that probably belonged to somebody.
Yeah, the cave there is really weird. It's just like a cave full of junk.
Red says she finds a Gorg's tooth, which is concerning for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
One, a Gorg was in Fraggle Rock, or ate someone or bit someone and lost a tooth, and they brought it
I could have maybe threw the tooth down the well,
I guess
Made
so.
a wish.
Or maybe it's Junior's baby tooth or something.
Yeah.
Okay, that's less concerning.
Maybe he swallowed it and pooped it out.
Once again, how did this come back to poop?
And that's the sewers are down there somewhere for the Gorgs,
Well, now you've introduced a terrible piece of lore.
That they're just living in the sewers of the Gorg castle.
Yeah.
Ew.
You said it.
I take it back.
Yeah,
I take
okay.
it back.
You're allowed to do that.
Okay.
Officially remove it from the record. Not editing it out of the podcast,
No.
but removing it from the canon of
put it
commitment.
into the world and then acknowledge that is not correct.
Well, Wembley finds an old bottle. That's not just an old bottle. It's a real old bottle, and it's green.
Yeah, and Gobo's a big dick about it.
I mean, to be fair, before he finds that bottle, Wembley's like, look, a mushroom. And he's like, yeah, it looks just like every other mushroom. And he's like, hey, look, a rock. And it's like, yeah, we fucking live in rocks, dude. You're going to find a lot of rocks. Tell me when you found something cool. And he's like, I found a bottle. It's like, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
But this bottle has writing on it. It says, bottle, this rub not do. But eventually Wembley does figure that out, and it says, do not rub this bottle. But, immediately he has rubbed it.
I think you had to rub it to read that it said do not rub it.
Oh, so,
right?
Yeah, you're right. He cleaned it off before he really translated it. Because then steam shoots out, and we meet the Genie.
The meanest Genie. He's a nasty, nasty Wario man.
Yeah, he's a Richard Hunt Genie who looks very un-Fraggle Rock-y, which does make sense. Like this, 1,000-year-old
mystical being from a
being.
different land. Yeah.
And the Genie decides, you know what? Unlike every other Genie you've heard of, I'm going to stand up for myself. No more wishes. And, mean Genie, to no one's surprise, is a dick.
Yeah.
He uses
most of this episode is just him walking around being a dick to people.
The first thing he uses his powers for is just to toss all the cool stuff that Red and Gobo found to the floor.
Smash it all up.
And break it. But once Red and Gobo understand what's going on here, they decide to go look up this mysterious Genie in the Encyclopedia Fraglia.
They consult a local library.
Mm-hmm. They have their own lore, a whole Bible about the Fraggles here. But they look up specifically bad genies and find out that he steals, he lies, and he breaks things, and those are his good habits.
Stuff that Gobo can't even say.
Yeah, I'm a little worried he's just a murderer. Straight up terrible. Because if the good things that you can say are stealing, lying, and breaking things, I do not want to imagine what the bad things are.
No.
But Gobo tries to warn Wembley, hey, you got yourself a bad genie here. But the Genie convinces Wembley to stand up for himself and refuse to take Gobo's advice. And during this point, Gobo has accused the mean Genie of stealing his Uncle Traveling Matt postcard. Of course, the Genie lies and says he didn't. And this is when you find out, hey, actually, I got this dumb thing on me right here. How about we give this a read?
What a nasty man reading a postcard.
What really nasty would have been like putting it on a PA system and announcing it to all of Fraggle Rock.
Yeah. We're just ripping it up,
But in this weird aside of a postcard, we find out that Uncle Traveling Matt has been placed at a human zoo.
Yeah, this one's bonkers.
It feels like they're coming out against zoos because he starts off saying, I found a sad place where silly creatures are kept behind bars.
Yeah.
And he's staring at the humans on the other side of the bars. He's on the elephant side, which it does actually look like he's in there with the elephants. So I'm not really sure how they pulled that off. But it didn't really do much for the story. But it did feel like some Fraggle Rock writer was just like, fuck zoos.
Yeah, but then at the same time, in the end, Matt is like, maybe these guys belong in the zoo. They're so scary.
Yeah, but he's saying that about the humans. So maybe the writer is saying like, yeah, maybe you belong in a zoo, humans.
Yeah, that's true. Huh. I guess it sets Wembley up to be thinking about feeling bad for things in captivity.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what they're doing at all. The Genie now decides he wants to bother Boober. Mostly just because he saw him from a distance and said, hey, what's that guy up to?
That guy's a freaking nerd. Who's this nerd doing?
Yeah, he says, what's he hanging up ghosts for?
Which would be cool if he was actually doing it.
Well, the Genie grants your wish, Sam, because Wembley says, well, if those were ghosts, Boober would be scared to death. And the Genie says, well, all right. And he makes the sheets into haunted, scaring ghosts. And of course, he scares Boober, who falls down and says, I could have broken my tail. And don't forget the psychological effects around trust. Because at this point, the Fraggles are starting to feel betrayed by Wembley and his friendship with the mean Genie. And Wembley starts to feel a little guilty about it.
He's always kind of felt a little guilty about it.
Yeah, but he's really, I think, as the mean Genie starts to pick off more of his friends, he starts to feel a little worse. But the worst moment comes next for not everyone, but they sell it in the episode as, oh my God, how could he do something so horrible? Because he picks up Gobo's guitar and says, now look, here's a guitar. This song will explain everything to you. And then just starts breaking Gobo's guitar strings.
This guy's cool.
Oh, we will talk about how cool he is in just a little bit when he actually does get to sing a song. Because first, he's got to do some really good graffiti and drink some radish beer.
He's drinking fucking beer, dude.
And Wembley even confirms that this is beer in the way you would think about it, because he's like, hey, you shouldn't be drinking that stuff. It's not good for you.
Why are they making it then?
Yeah. Is there like a speakeasy in Fraggle Rock? We got some moonshiner Fraggles?
Maybe the Fraggles that we know are just straight edge, you know?
They're the dorks.
Yeah.
Or the doozers making radish beer on the side and selling it to the gorgs.
Yeah. Well, the doozers are kind of like dwarves, so that makes sense that they, at the end of the day, would be like, gluck, gluck, gluck.
Oh, like Hobbit dwarves? I wouldn't mind a party doozer episode. I mean, we did kind of actually see that. We saw the doozers getting drunk on the job and almost dying, so
exactly.
maybe that's not the best life for them. Well, they tricked the Genie surprisingly easily. By asking him to do a few tasks that they say he couldn't do, like lift a boulder, say Genie backwards, which at first I thought was like some sort of Rumpelstiltskin kind of trick.
Yeah, like Mr. Mixelplexes or whatever from Superman.
Like, oh, if he says Genie backwards, I guess that puts him back in the bottle. No, it was just a fun task they gave him. The actual trick is saying, hey, I bet you can't jump through my fingers. And the fingers are around the opening of the bottle. And so the Genie just jumps straight into the bottle.
That's a great trick, because that's the perfect thing to make somebody like that be like, yeah, fuck you. Check this shit out. If I was the mean Genie, I would have fallen for that.
Well, thankfully, we get a great illusion of the Genie in the bottle.
Yeah, he's so sad.
Well, he's pretending to be sad.
I love Richard Hunt when he gets to be kind of a jerk. Like Philo or Gunge, whichever one he is in this Genie, when he's just like, yeah, come on. That's great. He's so good at it.
Well, and I almost do feel a little bad for him when Wembley says to him, hey, I caught you and now we're going to bury you forever.
That's not very nice. They could just put him on a mantle or something so
I'm
he'd
gonna
at least
bury
have
you
something
forever.
to look at. Yeah.
Which Wembley does immediately regret saying, and he lets the Genie out of the bottle again.
Idiot.
Yeah, which in this moment, when they captured him, I was like, they wrapped this up really. Yeah, it felt like a Muppet Babies episode where you solved the problem with 11 minutes to spare. Gobo goes to grab the bottle and knocks it out of Wembley's hand, and it shatters on the cave floor. And Gobo goes, oh no, I killed the Genie. Gruesome, but also you were going to bury him alive forever.
There's really not functionally any difference between killing him and doing that.
Yeah, you have like deniability that like, I didn't kill him, I just buried him in the ground forever.
Killing him's better.
If I had to be on Gobo's side here.
Yeah.
I understand the thought of like, well, he's been living in that lamp for 1,000 years or bottle, whatever.
I suppose.
And so clearly it's not worse than death.
I don't know. I think that's a tough one. I think that's a toss-up. I think maybe also Gobo just didn't get the he's disappointed he didn't get the enjoyment of knowing that he buried the Genie forever.
Oh no, I accidentally killed the Genie.
Yeah.
I wish I could have done it on
I wanted
purpose.
to just torture him for eternity.
But of course, right then the Genie himself shows up in a big old flash of lightning and immediately turns all of the Fraggles into mindless slaves.
That's cool. He's not fucking around.
This is some Pink Floyd's The Wall shit.
Yeah, it gets weird.
He sings his song called Do You Want It? Sounds a little like Janice when he starts to sing, which, makes sense. But this is amazing because all the Fraggles are in matching uniforms while the Genie sings his like punk rallying cry to get them on his side. At this point, I was thinking this should have been the plot of a Fraggle Rock movie.
Ooh, that would be cool.
because I wanted this to be a bigger chunk of the episode. Like percentage-wise, him turning all the Fraggles into drones and having control over them and Wembley being the only one not under his spell
Yeah.
is a story where I'm like, now this should be a part 2 where Wembley has to get the Gorgs or the Trash Heap or Philo and Gunge or somebody to help him out.
Ooh. Or even Sprocket.
Yeah, to defeat the Genie. Like, put that all in a Fraggle Rock movie.
And their little outfits are something else. I don't know what they're supposed to be exactly.
They've got to be based on something. Like, I don't know. I wonder if they're supposed to be like 1984. Because I know they had just put out the John Hurt 1984 movie the year before, unsurprisingly, in 1984. So I wonder if there's something along those lines. Because it sort of felt like 1984 mixed with The Wall. Like, it felt like it must be referencing something. It was so specific.
Their little quilted outfits. It looks like in 1984 they just wore blue jumpsuits.
Well, if anyone out there knows what those quilted, it looks like the dentist bibs that they throw on you when they do X-rays.
Yeah, the lead ones. Yeah.
If anyone knows what those are referencing, please let us know at mail@commitment.com. Well, Wembley just happens to go, I wish you'd stop doing all this, and it turns out that's all he needed to do the whole time.
Simple as that.
Because the Genie is bound to give him his wishes if he asks for them.
This is a good resolution to a Genie story, I thought, too. Because they operate on such, like, literal rules all the time. That this is a good, kind of like a good twist on that.
And I like that there's not a specific scene where Wembley's like, maybe if I try wishing, I'll get him to stop.
Right.
Like, it just happens by accident. And it takes you a second to also catch up to like, wait a minute, I think that worked. The same way it takes Wembley a second to catch up to it. But as you mentioned earlier, Sam, he does wish all the Fraggles would be themselves again, and he wishes for all the broken stuff to be fixed. And he says, I wish I could make you understand the difference between standing up for yourself and just doing everything you want. And the mean Genie says, I understand.
Okay, yeah. Great resolution.
And this is the one where I was like, this is a great lesson. Like, that one line is great.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like that's conveyed through what happens in the episode.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't feel like it entirely came out of nowhere, but at the same time, it wasn't like Wembley ever turned like mean exactly.
No, because they're essentially doing the Pinocchio story, where it's like Pinocchio is this like young, naive, easily tricked by people telling him like, no, you gotta let loose and have fun. He's like, okay. Yeah. And this is sort of like the stand up for yourself. And it's like, there is partially truth to that Wembley does need to stand up for himself more, but this is how it could go wrong.
Right.
But because we only see the Genie doing the bad things and not Wembley doing the bad things, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
Wembley's just an accomplice. Yeah.
And the part where he takes away all their free will is interesting looking, but it doesn't really match. It's not thematically tied to anything in particular.
No, just a great idea for a song and basically for a music video that doesn't go anywhere. And that's what made me want to see just more of that. Yeah. Because I felt like it was such a radical departure from the typical style of Fraggle Rock.
Right.
Both having this puppet look like this, but also having be sort of like a punk rocker, tying into these sort of fascist things he's doing. I just felt like it was a really interesting idea that didn't go anywhere.
It also scratched a River Bottom Nightmare Band itch that they haven't scratched in like a decade or something.
That is very true.
Yeah.
But it ends with Wembley wishing the Genie free at the end of the story.
Which is, of course, where Aladdin got the idea. And it might really be because you might be saying, oh, wasn't that based on a story written like 1 billion years ago? I don't think that's how the story ends. I think the setting the Genie free part is an invention of the Aladdin cartoon.
See, I know nothing about the classic tale, but I also put in my notes, this is where Aladdin got the idea.
It's undeniable then. If even Matt thought it.
What would you rate that episode there, Sam?
Oh, I think I'd give it a 3. I almost want to give it a 3.5. I don't know. 3.5. I'll take it back. 3.5. I love that damn Genie. He's so mean.
Yeah, I like this one more than the Skin Frith episode. But I do I don't rate episodes, but if I did, I'd give them a 3 as well because I do feel like there's just a little bit more that could have been done to make this a perfect episode.
Yeah. And even the Skinfrith one was a better bad Fraggle Rock episode. So this
absolutely.
Was a pretty good,
yes.
This is a pretty good week all around, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, that must mean it's time for our Muppet of the Week. This week's Muppet of the Week is 2 Muppets. It's Philo and Gunge, the 2 rodent-ish companions of Marjorie the Trash Heap, who I constantly mix up when I'm watching. But for reference, Gunge is the gray one who only has 1 tooth, and Philo is pink and has 2 teeth.
And their letters match the color they are.
Gunge gray, Philo pink.
Okay.
So if you're ever confused again, that's how you remember.
That's great. Thank you.
And as we learned in this batch, Marjorie would literally die without them and was seemingly created by their presence in some way. Philo and Gunge debuted in 1983 in the first episode of Fraggle Rock. And these 2 will go on to appear at least a few more times each season in the remaining seasons of Fraggle Rock that we have to watch, so we are far from done with them. Dave Goelz is the performer behind Philo, and Richard Hunt is the performer behind Gunge. In the animated series, John Stevenson is credited with both of their voices, but there's apparently episodes where you can hear Bob Bergen performing Gunge, so the credits on the animated series are not correct. The 2 also return in Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock, now performed by Dan Garza, who does Philo, and John Tartaglia, who does Gunge.
Okay. I'm glad they're back.
Oh yeah, they're still great. And just a couple more fun facts. Philo will go on to appear in the Jim Henson Hour pitch reel, and the puppet from Philo will go on to appear as a couple different characters in Moppa Top's Shop, a series that I don't know if we'll watch every episode, but we'll watch some of it when that comes out, which is like 1999. But that would be a rough one to watch every episode of, I think.
It's a baby show?
It's a baby show. And Gunge we will also see again in the future because he makes an appearance on Dinosaurs.
Oh, he looks bad, though.
Notably, when Philo appears in one of his times on Moppa Top Shop, his character is hanging out with a reused Droop puppet.
Droop from way back in the Valentine's?
The old Droop.
Wow.
Who does, I think, share some DNA in puppet structure with a Philo and Gunge. But that's about all we know about Philo and Gunge for now. If you had to rate them, Sam, what would you rate Philo and Gunge?
I don't know. I would give them a 10. I would feel too bad to give them anything less.
I also would give them a 10, Sam, because they're so good.
They're so freaking funny.
No, I definitely give those guys a 10. They are some of my favorite Muppets. And they make Fraggle Rock a better show. Not that it's a bad show, but I never ask, hey, why are Philo and Gunge here?
Exactly. And I like that they're kind of nasty, but they're so nice. I loved when they said that the Fraggles were their best friends in that episode, in the one we watched this week, because I would think the Fraggles would hear that and be like, okay.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Oh, God.
What? Who's there? Who are those guys?
Which one's Philo?
But yeah, them and Marjorie are such a great weird dynamic for that show. That really does make it like, it would be more of a baby show if they weren't there, just because they're so weird.
Well, thank goodness for Philo and Gunge.
Yeah, bless you both. I'd be interested to see which Muppet performer has the average highest score of Muppet. You know what I mean? Like who we have given the most stars to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, who's in the lead?
That feels like a lot of work that I'm not gonna do.
Yeah, somebody on the Discord,
please
get on
please.
it.
Well, Sam, it's not been nearly as long since last recorded the last episode as it usually is.
Right.
But have you had time to enjoy any non-Muppet things since 2 days ago? Well,
when I watched that Night of 100 Stars and they played the song from The Simpsons, then I watched that clip from The Simpsons where they're dancing with their turned inside out. And then I watched the episode of The Simpsons, Lisa versus Malibu Stacy. That show's so freaking good.
That show's
I
very
love
good.
The Simpsons.
I've been tempted to go back and start a rewatch of it lately.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some people say some really good things about the recent season.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, and then I started watching the next one, and then I fell asleep. So that's what I did. The one where Homer goes to space. I think it's the next one, which is also great.
I started watching the 2009 F1 season since I finished the 2008 last episode. And because of when we're recording this, right now I'm trying to decide what I want to watch during my trip to Italy.
Yeah.
I got
The Simpsons.
So many hours of plane flights to watch things. I could watch multiple seasons of The Simpsons probably.
Well, have fun in Italy.
We mentioned earlier that I would be in Italy when this episode came out. That's not true. This comes out right after I get back.
Shit. Well.
So I had a great time, Sam.
Mamma mia.
Apparently the accent didn't stick. Well, before we go, we got to let you know what we'll be watching next time. And like I said, next time we are taking a week off because both of us doing some traveling. But we'll be back the week after that with a brand new episode about the next 3 episodes of Fraggle Rock Season 3, titled The Secret Society of Poobahs, The Bean Barrow, the Burden, and the Bright Bouquet, and Gobo's School for Explorers. But before we actually get out of here, we got to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com to listen to episodes, pick up some merch, see our faces, join the Patreon. You can also email us at mailercommitment.com or contact us on social media at commitmentpod. And while you're on the social medias, you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.